Okay, hi. So, I really love the Alien franchise. Also, love Alien vs. Predator. That was perfection. Now, why did I want to talk about the Alien franchise? Honestly, just because I love aliens. And to me, it was such an iconic movie, and I think it kind of was a stepping stone for alien movies and like empowering women. Because, like, Ellen Ripley, the best. Like in the first movie, I was like, the second one also. Uh, like not all of them were great, and so I'm going to talk about from Alien, which came out in 1979, to Alien Covenant that came out in 2017, I think. It's gonna be the whole history. But I'm not gonna talk about the first one because the first one is really iconic. I have some friends who haven't watched the first one, and I'm like, how haven't you watched that one? I feel like everyone should have watched it because it was like such a big movie, but some people haven't, and I'm just like, okay. So we're gonna talk about the second one, which is Aliens, which came out in 1986. Now this one takes place where they find Ripley. It's been like 57 years, and so we see her like adapting to being back. She's having nightmares. She's not coping really well. I mean, how would she? It's traumatic what she went through, and the company doesn't believe her, even though it's like it's not that far-fetched. Like it's aliens, you know, they're living in a futuristic. I don't, but they don't believe her because they're like. And they're just worried about the money, which is like, yeah, of course, you know, it's a company, they're worried about the money. And so then they tell her that where she had originally found, like, the alien thing, yeah, it was now a terraforming colony, and that they look for her, like, days later, like, weeks or whatever, and they're like, oops, the colony just disappeared, no one's answering, and so she's just like, really? And so she goes on the condition that they kill the aliens, and they're like, totally, we're gonna kill the aliens. So then they get there, and then they find the face huggers in like tanks, and I think only 2 of them are alive. The rest are dead. So they kind of seen that the colonists kind of captured some of them, or were trying to see what it was, and then they cannot find the colonists anywhere. And then they finally find them in like the center of the station, and they're like being incubators for like the aliens. And so like an alien baby just pops out, and they shoot it, and then a bunch of adult aliens come out, and it's so cool because I think there was like 200 colonists or something. So like that's a lot of aliens. And so one of the like coronels, or like his name is what's his name? I'll put a picture because I don't remember his name. He frees up. He doesn't know. Like, when they're doing the dropship, that's his first dropship. Like, the rest were in simulators. Like, you can tell, like, they put early on that he is not qualified to be there. And so he freezes, he panics. And so Ripley, like, takes control, goes and, like, gets some control of, like, the tank that they are in and save the remaining soldiers that are alive. And she's just a badass. She's there to save the day, as always. And so, oh, I also forgot to mention Newt. Newt is one of the girls that they find there, that she's just by herself. She's been surviving for, I don't know, like days, weeks. And the aliens haven't found her because she just is so tiny that she goes through the, like, ducts. So, she's there. And so clearly, Ellen... It's so weird calling her Ellen. Ripley, like they mentioned at the beginning that her daughter has passed away because it's been like years, and so she's kind of has that connection with Root, like a Newt, not Root, Newt, like a mother-daughter connection. So she's like very taking care of her and all that stuff. And so, like so I said, so Ripley goes and she saves them, and they're going out, and they call the dropship to be like, hey, come pick us up or we're leaving. And then aliens just board the dropship, and the dropship explodes, so they're stuck down there because the actual ship is all the way up in the air. And since the like commanding officer dies, the one who's next in place, Ripley's like, we need to like explode the planet, like we need to just like blow everything up. And obviously the guy who is from the company is like, no, we can't do that. But the army like person in charge is like, no, we're gonna do that, we're gonna blow everything up. And I'm like, finally they're listening to Ripley. But the company guy obviously his interest is in the company, is making money. So when Newt and Ripley go take a nap and sleep and chill, he lets loose 2 face huggers to impregnate Ripley and Newt so that inside them she could transport them through customs or whatever the equivalent of customs in the future. And that he would do is to like kill the soldiers so that they wouldn't like be another narrative, was to like do something to their pod so like they would suffocate in their sleep or something, and then he would have the aliens and just go scot-free with the murder. So when Ripley tells when Ripley's rescued and Newt is rescued from, you know, because he literally trapped them inside, like he trapped them inside with facehuggers, and she like turned on the fire alarm so that the, you know, soldiers would come. Like, oh, Ripley, love her. And so then she's like, look, this is what he's gonna do, and he gets killed by an alien, and it's like, justice, because I don't understand what is with humans wanting to like get money out of aliens. Like, what do they see? Like, it's an alien who's like, whose blood is acidic and can kill everyone and infect people. Like, I don't understand that. Thing like goes bonkers, and so you have Vasquez and the other dude who his name is Gorman, and they sacrifice themselves. I think it was like a redeeming quality for Gorman because he was just not good. So by doing that, it kind of, you know, made his character more like good. And then Newt gets kidnapped, and then Ripley, badass mode, goes and saves her, and she kind of has like a stare-off with like the queen, because she's like blowing up or like burning the eggs, so she's just kind of like, if you let us go, I won't burn the eggs, and the queen is like, sure. It's kind of weird, but it like works. And so as Ripley's like going, you know, walking out, then she just fires everything, like just burns everything to the ground. And so this part, I was just like, because the queen follows Ripley, like she's literally like goes into an elevator behind her. Like, it's very, you know, they make the alien, like the aliens were smart in the first one, but they just step up, like a step up. And then you have Bishop. Bishop is like an angel in this movie. He's very sweet. He's like, you know, and so for some reason because it's like a huge queen, like that queen is huge. She's got a huge butt. So she somehow gets onto the ship without them noticing, cuts Bishop in half. Newt hides. Ripley gets on that like mecha thing to like grab crates and just fights the queen, and then puts the queen through like the airlock, and then ta-da! And so then she's like, oh, we're all fine and dandy. The other soldier that I would have loved her to be with, who was it? Hicks loses an eye. I don't remember why. I think it's because it's something like the blood spatter or something. I don't remember. So then Ripley puts everyone into cryosleep, Bishop as well, Newt, Hicks, and herself. And then starts the second movie. So the second movie takes place right directly after that one. And I would have loved if it would have focused on Ripley, Hicks, and Newt. I thought like Hicks and Ripley were great. They, you know, because he wasn't intimidated by her, he was like smitten. Like, I would have loved it, but no, they were just like, that's the only thing I didn't like. They made Ripley's life like very tragic, from like everything was just so in this one she wakes up and she's like in a male dominated like colony. It's like well, yeah, it's a male colony. Like, they only have males there, and it's because they have like a genetic mutation that makes them have like antisocial behavior, and they're kind of like very like aggressive. And so when she wakes up, she finds out that she's the only one who survived, that, you know, they're dead. And so she's like asking for, I don't remember if it was, I think it was for Newt to get like an autopsy to make sure that she wasn't like infected, because apparently when they found the, you know, the pods, one of them had a face hugger. They have a xenomorph dog hybrid. It's the weirdest thing, and you're just like, why do humans want to play with this? Why This movie is where I thought they really crippled Ellen Ripley's character, because even though she did have moments where she was like a badass, it really was like, this is where the famous line of, who do I have to sleep with to get out of here, and it was kind of like, yeah. And so again, no one believes Ripley when she's like, oh yeah, there's an alien. No one believes her, and it's like, why? Like, you're a colony, like, why don't, okay, I don't understand. But no one believes her until like a bunch of people get killed. You don't really, I never, like they weren't characters that I cared about. So I was just like, oh yeah, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And so finally they believe her, and so she finds out that she like makes a deal with them, and she's like, we're gonna trap her, and we're gonna, you know, kill like the alien. I don't know why I said her. The alien. And then she finds out, I don't remember why or how, but she finds out that she's carrying an embryo from the queen. She's like carrying a queen inside of her, which I don't know how, but she is. And so she finds out, and so she convinces one of like the other guys to make sure, like, to kill her, like that she's not gonna, you know, survive. And so Weyland-Yutani, how, I don't know, appears. Oh yeah, because they called them to rescue her, so yeah, no, that's how. And so they appear, and they obviously want to take Ripley and like make her like go to sleep, and then like take out the baby and stuff like that. But Ripley's like, no, so she throws herself into the furnace to sacrifice herself. And that's kind of like, that movie, not good. I don't recommend you watch that. It wasn't anything like, no. Now this is the third movie, okay? The third movie is Alien Resurrection. Yes, Alien Resurrection, and it was in 1997. Okay. This one, Ripley is a clone. They cloned her because she had the queen embryo, so they cloned Ripley, and they took out the queen embryo, and this Ripley isn't like actual Ripley because she's, I mean, she's not like, this happens in a lot of clone movies, clone video games, where you can't clone, like physically you can clone someone, but you can't clone their personality or memories. So she kind of remembers some things and not a lot. Like she remembers faces, but she doesn't remember names. She's very like, she's just not Ripley. Like physically she is, but she isn't. And I really enjoyed this movie because it was a different take, and it wasn't actual Ripley, it was a clone of her, so I felt like it had more leeway. And so this Ripley is kind of connected to the aliens, like she can sense them, she can hear them, you know, she says that she talks to them, and like she's like a mom, like a mother kind of, because she gave birth to the queen. And so they first, like some of the scientists or some of like the people on the team want to kill her because, you know, they're like, oh, she served her purpose. Others don't because it's like, you know, I don't know why, it's like a great thing or whatever. And so they're trying to like teach her how to eat, how to talk, kind of like change her perception, but she still has in mind that, oh, aliens are bad, aliens are evil, we have to kill them. And so, and she's super strong, and her blood is acidic, like she's like mixed with an alien. And so this one is where it's Winona Ryder is also in it, and I really like this movie because it also talks about how the perception of humanity, people like Winona Ryder is with another team, and they're like bandits, like they steal like things and people and cargo, and they sell it. And so the people on the team like her 'cause she's pretty and whatever. Like someone actually said that they only liked her because she was attractive. So no, not nice people in this movie. But in the moment, spoilers, this whole entire thing is spoilers, but I don't know why I just said that. Anyways, when they find out that she's actually a cyborg, she isn't human per se, they immediately just close off to her. They're like, oh no, she's not worthy, because like it showed, like to her, she was a person, she had a personality, she had, you know, she wanted to protect everyone and kill the queen, but when she got there too late because Ellen Ripley didn't have the queen inside her anymore. And it just showcased how, you know, the perception of what constitutes a real human, because Ripley is a clone, she's not an actual person, but she's still a human, she still feels, and you're just seeing how she kind of goes in and out. And I really liked how they handled her character. Like, yeah, she was sometimes kind of weird, but then also you have to take in consideration that she was kind of like morphed with the alien. And so in this case, the scientists are, they're kind of experimenting on aliens. Like, they have like maybe 6 or 8 aliens in like boxes with like bulletproof glass or anti-acid glass. What am I supposed to know? And one of the scientists is weirdly, overtly in love with the alien. Like, he tries to kiss him, like he kisses a glass, like it's very like, why? Weird. But yeah, they're essentially, again, trying to, I don't know, profit off the aliens. And so in this one, the aliens are actually smart. They're like, they notice that, oh, when he presses that button, like cold things come out and it hurts us. So they're kind of learning. So they're showcasing, like I said, the intelligence of aliens, even though the aliens do kind of have a hive mind in a sense, because they go like they do have their own thought, but they also follow like the queen's orders. And then we find out that the queen is birthing, because the queen also has mixed human things in her. So we see before that the queen kind of just drops the eggs, kind of like going bloop bloop, and this one, she's literally giving birth to a xenomorph human. Like, I saw that, it was awesome because it looked like a perfect embodiment of what a human alien would be. It was so creepy, it was so like, and the human embodiment just kills them, like the alien queen, and you can see that the alien queen sees that thing as like a bait. It's weirdly like like it tugs on your heartstrings for some reason, and it's just like, because even Ripley gets sad when she has to kill her mutant baby xenomorph human, and it's just like, I don't know, I really enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. I know a lot of people didn't like it because it was kind of weird and blah blah, but I liked it because of the fact that it wasn't Ellen Ripley, a person, it was a clone, so like I said, they had more leeway to do what they wanted. Okay, moving on to the next movie. So that was in 1997, Alien Resurrection. They didn't do anything after that until 2012 with Prometheus. Now, Prometheus is my second favorite movie. My first one is Aliens, then it goes Prometheus. Prometheus was beautiful. Okay, so Prometheus starts off with Elizabeth Shaw and her boyfriend Holloway, and they go into like this cave in like Scotland, and they find like a star map, and so they interpret that as them being invited to somewhere. I don't know, they're kind of finding out why they exist, like why civilization, humanity is a thing. So Weyland-Yutani again finds out about this and like just pays for the excursion. It's not just them, it's a whole team to go to these coordinates, and so it's this whole entire thing, and you know, whatever. The characters, I'm gonna be honest with you, the only character that I kind of cared about was Shaw. The rest were kind of like the crew members, some of them are really fun, some of them, like the actual like ship, what's it called, the captain of the ship, the person who drives the ship, what is that called? I don't know. He was really cool. Charlize Theron was also in this movie. She was Vickers, I think. She was also good. But like I said, I was only emotionally invested in Elizabeth Shaw. And so, okay, so we have, instead of Bishop, we now have David. He is a cyborg. And David is chillin'. Okay, and now we have David. Okay, so David is a cyborg. He views Weyland as like his dad. And so they finally get to this planet that they were going to, like the coordinates of this planet. So they get there, and David gets a cylinder, and he's just like, cool, interesting. And there's other things, like they find out like that they find the ship, and they're just, you know, scouting. And so they head back, and so David has the liquid cylinder, and so he starts like experimenting, and he went to go talk to Holloway, and Holloway said that he would do anything for answers. And so apparently in David's mind, that gave him consent to do whatever, so he poisons Holloway with that weird black goo and puts it in his drink, so the man drinks it, and then Holloway sleeps with Shaw, and that will be relevant in a second because it just will. So fast forward, they go back to the ship, and then Holloway gets sick. Other stuff happens, but Holloway gets sick, and they don't want to let him on board because he's sick and they don't really know, and so they just flamethrower him, and he just burns alive. And Shaw is obviously very traumatized about that. Who wouldn't? You see like your boyfriend just being charred alive. It's not cool. So why it was important that they slept together, because Shaw is pregnant, and not just pregnant like 2 weeks, no, like advanced pregnant. And so Shaw is like, how that's impossible because she was diagnosed as infertile. And Shaw is just like not having it. She's not trusting these, and they want to like sedate her and be like, oh, we're just gonna sedate you. And no, she escapes. She runs around. She finds like this pod that does like medical things, and then the worst scene in existence, like that scene. I watched this movie on the plane, and that scene traumatized me. She gets into the pod, and it's a pod designed for male, like a male anatomy. And so she's like, she can feel it moving, and so I don't know what she asks, what's procedure. It cuts her open. It takes out the alien. And then it sews her back up, and it's like this open wound, and it's like horrible. And then she runs into Weyland, because Weyland's there, like the owner of Yutani is there. Weyland-Yutani is there because he wants to be able to live forever. Again, human greed just shows up. And so they are gonna go again to the ship, and so she decides to go with her body just operated with a huge open wound. And then David hits her on the So then they wake up the alien, the engineer. They wake him up because, I don't know, they wake him up, and the thing kills a lot of people. Chops up David's head, kills Weyland-Yutani, and that. And then for some reason, Ripley, literally being the only one who's like incapacitated because her body is just... She escapes. She tells the dropship, hey, this apparently was a military type of ship, and it's containing cylinders that's going to Earth and going to kill everyone. And so the ship, this was a badass moment because the ship, like the crews sacrificed themselves. He tells Vickers, like, you have like seconds to get out of here. We are gonna do this. We're not gonna let them transport those pods to Earth. And so it crashes. Vickers is an idiot because she dies because the alien ship is falling, and instead of her like running this way, she just runs along the falling ship. And the only one surviving is Shaw. And so Shaw is just like running like she just didn't have like an open stomach surgery. And David calls her and he's like, what's up? I know like I killed your husband and I killed everyone, but the thing is after you, the engineer is after you. And so she goes back to the ship, and she finds out that the thing that she had taken out of her stomach had grown. It was like this weird, like, ew. And so the engineer gets up to her, she lets that thing out, they start like fighting, it face hugger him. And so she is still dedicated to her mission, still dedicated. So she wants to go to the engineer's homeland and find out why they want to destroy humanity. She wants to go. And so for some reason, I mean, she brings David's head because she's like, David will know how to, you know, fly this thing and stuff. So her and David set sail to find the engineer's home. And so, the last movie, Alien Covenant, 2017. The worst movie. No, I'm kidding, not the worst because they were bad ones, but not good. Not good. So this one focuses on, there's like this ship that's carrying like colonists and Stacy's and 1,140 like embryos in storage. And so they're going to this planet to go and like, it's kind of like Mass Effect Andromeda. They're going to go like populate it. And so there's like, one is like I said, they're going to this, you know, specific area. Now in this one, I genuinely was just like, why did they, because they didn't bring Shaw back for this one, and I didn't understand why. Like it's like if they had ditched Ripley on the first movie and just been like, peace, she's just gone. I really think they should have focused on Shaw. They should have made Shaw the next Ripley in a sense, like that should have been the main character, but instead they just ditch her and show me people that I just do not care about. I think they did a big mistake in not bringing back Shaw and not her being the main focus of the movie, but whatever. I hope they can like pretend that this wasn't part of the series. Also, this happens 11 years after Prometheus. I forgot to mention that. So anyways, they have another David, right? But he's his name is like Walter. He's like a nicer version of David, and so there's like this shockwave that goes through the ship, and so he's just like, oh my god. So he wakes up the 14 crew members, who all the crew members are like partners, because obviously they want to repopulate the planet that they're going to, so everyone's like married or dating or whatever. And so the captain, who is James Franco, burns alive. So he's like in the movie for like a minute. And so they're just chilling, they're fixing things, and then they hear a human voice like on a transmission. And so the new acting captain, he is super smart, big brain moment. It's like, why don't we go to that planet, you know? And so they check the scans and they're like, oh well, that's habitable. And instead of going to the planet that they're supposed to, this big brain new captain is like, let's go to this one. And even though the other, like the dead captain's wife, her name is, I have no idea what her name is, Daniels, she is against it. She's like, no, we should go to the planet that we're supposed to. The new captain is like, I know everything, I'm super smart. So they go to this planet for some reason, and he's like, it's too good to be true. And exactly, it's too good to be, like, what? Whatever. So they get there, they have like the main ship, and then they have another drop ship. And so they're both like ship captains, drivers, whatever, I don't know what it's called, they're also married. And so some of them are on the big ship and the others are like on the smaller ship. So they get down there and they're walking and they track down this fallen alien ship. And they're just like, wow, so cool. And then they show that they like step on these spores, like on these plants, and these spores come out and go inside their ears and their mouth, and it just makes them sick. And it's just like, oh, this is what you get for going to a planet that you have no idea what's it about, just because it looks good and habitable. And like I said, there were so many people and they didn't really like introduce them, so like I did not care. I did not know who they were, so it's like, oh, that one died, cool. Anyways, they get those two people who are quarantined very creepily. That's like my worst fear, that you're just walking around and something just goes inside your ears or in your mouth, and it's in tiny little spores, you don't really notice. Creepy. They take him to a med bay, and in the med bay they do a 180, and instead of it bursting out of their chest, it bursts out of his back for some reason, and then it kills one of the crewmates. And so it's the Tennessee's, the ship driver, whatever, from this one, and his wife, I don't remember her name, she's on this one, and she's trying to kill like the alien that came out of the dude, and so she accidentally blows up herself and the ship, so they're stranded. And so there's no like communications from the party on the ground to like the main ship. And so they get stranded in like this field, and there's like a bunch of aliens coming around, and then David appears in all his glory for some reason and scares off the aliens for some reason. And so they follow him for some reason, I guess because they have nowhere else to go. So they follow him, and he takes them to like these ruins, and there's like these humanoid like things and statues, and he's just like, oh yeah. And he kind of like makes up this story of how when him and Shaw got there, you know, they accidentally released like this like toxin that released and killed like the fauna and the people, and that, you know, and that the ship crashed, and that's when Shaw died, right? And in that moment I was like, wow, they really did Shaw dirty. Like, how? Why? So like, again, they're in this temple, and then you see that David is talking to the aliens. Another crew member comes and kills the alien, because obviously logical. And then David gets pissed because apparently Daniels finds out that he took Shaw's dead body and like dead genetic material and like body parts, and started experimenting with the aliens and started creating like this weird thing, because he thinks that humans are useless and the next like supremes are aliens, so he's making them. And so a bunch of people get killed. I don't know, like I said, they're like 14 people, and they don't try to even create them as characters, they're just there. And so David tries to convince Walter that like humans suck, you know, we gotta stick together. Walter is like, no, humans, like, you know, because he's programmed differently, and he's just like, no, that's not true. They fight. Walter survives, and then it's Walter, Daniels, and I think 2 new people. Like I said, don't know. Okay, Daniels was the only one I was rooting for because she was the only smart one who didn't want to go to this planet and she wanted to leave like all the time, and people were just like, no. Oh my god. And the captain, oh my god, I almost forgot. The idiot captain, finally, he died in the most stupid way ever because he follows David into this underground like cave tunnel, and he sees the little pods of the face huggers, and he does the idiotic thing that every human does in the movies, is go and looks at it. The face hugger comes and he dies. And I was just like, that's what you get for being an idiot, honestly. Like, why would you trust David? He's been on this planet for 11 years by himself. I don't think he's the most sane human. Whatever. So like I said, Daniels, Walter, Tennessee, no, Loop, whatever, they escape from that cavern, and they're running, and Tennessee, they found a way to communicate to Tennessee, so Tennessee goes down on the ship to rescue them, and so they kill this giant xenomorph that is like jumping on their ship, and so they think, we're good, it's fine and dandy, and then they wake up the next morning and Loop, I think his name is pronounced, I have no idea, is dead because he was infected and an alien just burst out of him, and so these other crew members who survived, dead. Don't know who they were, dead. So now it's only Tennessee, Daniels, and Walter. So they find a way, they kill the other xenomorph, and they're like, we did it, we're good. And so they're finally going to go to the original planet that they were going to, and so Tennessee, they put him in like the sleep pod, he's sleeping, and so Daniels, she tells something to Walter that only Walter knew. It was like something about her dreams or something that she wanted to do, and Walter just looked at her like, what are you talking about? And then at that moment she knew that Walter was David, which I don't know how they didn't see. Like, Walter was a puppy fighting against a huge bulldog. Like, I don't like but since she was already in her sleeping pod, he just activated it and she just went to sleep. And so David is psychotic, and so he regurgitates 2 embryos and puts them in storage, and then he does a log being like, oh, there was a problem with the solar flares and it killed all the remaining crew members, and it only Tennessee and Daniel survives. And so he has a bunch of people to experiment on, essentially, because he has like the whole entire colonists that are in stasis, plus the 1,140 people in cryo sleep or whatever. And so that he also says that he is on the course for the planet, so he's gonna have a lot of fun just killing everyone, and that's how the movie ends. Yeah, that is, I feel like this movie just ruined, like, I feel like it was going up and up and up. I feel like they should have focused on Shaw. They should have done, like, I feel like a lot of people would have enjoyed to see the engineers, where they came from and all that stuff, and bringing these people who I had no idea who they were, that they were supposed to repopulate, and it just felt very redundant, very boring, very like, I felt let down. Should have focused on Shaw, and I hope that for the next one they bring Shaw back for some reason. I hope that they pretend like this movie just never happened, never existed, isn't part of the story, isn't part of the history of the Alien franchise, because... But yeah, so that's the whole entire Alien franchise. I really enjoyed some movies way more than the others, but I think this movie did a lot for film and cinema, and a lot for women empowerment as well, because it's always nice to see female leads being badass and not caring and just being, you know, it's cool, it's fun. And so I hope that the next movie that comes out is like Prometheus or like Aliens or Alien. I think it just had some falling out there at the end, but yeah. So I really love this franchise, and so I just really wanted to talk about it because I have a lot, you know, to say. So yeah, this is like the mini summary of the whole entire Alien franchise that no one asked for, but I wanted to do. So